welcome to Flory Models Kit Review Time, something a little bit different. What we've got here is the MPC Space 1999 Eagle Transporter Deluxe Edition. I don't know what scale this actually is. I don't think it has a scale on it. Generally, maybe you've heard of it, maybe you haven't. It was a 1970s, 60s sci-fi series here in the UK. And obviously there was some toys. Now there's a bit of a backstory to this, I'll bore you with it. My parents are moving house, and literally they came round and said, oh, this was yours, wasn't it? You know, either me or my brother. And I was like, yeah, that's mine, and it's Eagle Transporter. That day I happened to be having a look around the internet and saw this, and I thought absolutely brilliant, because I did think about giving this a repaint and stripping it down and, you know, generally bringing it back to life. And then I saw this one and thought, what a great sort of opportunity to sort of relive your childhood and go through it. So what we've actually got here is some beautiful ones, obviously full practical effects, as you can imagine. It was all done with models back in the day, and this is obviously one that's been done from the originals. So this is the one we've actually got. It's 12 inches long, plastic model, and it's got the booster set on there, and the main thing's down the middle, as you can imagine. And they're just having a run around the box. Its kit number is actually 816/06. Okay, as you can see down there. And then on the back, some more great artwork and pictures, I think, from obviously the actual kit itself as what you're going to get in the box. And as you can see, this thing is absolutely still cellophaned up as is. So what we can do is just try, I don't want doing that, let's try a knife, might be better. Still cellophane shut. So we'll get in here and have a look. Now we're not expecting Tamiya out of the box here, okay? So let's just see what we've got. Yes, that's what we mean by it. So generally, I don't think that's going to stand there. I might do with that in helping it up. Yeah. Right, okay, as you can see, it's just bags chucked in here. Very reminiscent of the sort of Mobis and things like that. So to start off with, let's have a look down here in the guide. All right, so something there. T-shirts. Okay. Right, okay, so in our instructions, part call outs, as you can imagine, not exactly on a tree because they sort of are in there, but that's about it. Very, very basic, okay. You know, you guys know me, you know how I model, you know how I like to sometimes have a bit of a tinker. One of my other passions I used to do, and I haven't done for a while, but there's one thing I really want to get back to in the near future, next year definitely, is actually doing a lot more scratch building and doing some prop work. So we're doing movie props, things like that, along the lines of practical effects. So that is basically like taking something like this type of kit. It's very basic, and yes, you could build it straight out of the box and away you go, or you use it as a skeleton. Okay, and when I say using it as a skeleton, like we can see down these parts here, it's literally A, B, and C together gives you the finished article. All right, there's not a lot, as you can see, going down around all these things. It goes together very, very simply. But what you can actually do is go through the kit and basically work out how you could improve it, and that means either scratch building parts, perhaps casting your own parts, so forth and so on. So as we see down here, we'll have a look at some of the parts and see if we could do a lot to this one. Definitely around here we've got the thruster jets, main ones coming out, these sort of, you know, leg extensions stroke thruster units on the side here. This is the main canopy obviously coming down like we've got in ours, which ours is detachable, just like that, just like the real thing. And all things, and then obviously we've got the suspension unit, more thruster jets going on there, and then moving it around with the sort of the pads for the underside. This one's got one quite like that, slightly different on mine. Okay, and then you've got the booster set going in at the top. Okay, more work from the booster set, and then putting them on, obviously some decal placements and things like that as you go through. Or you can do the passenger pod, which is obviously, this is the passenger pod on this one, so you've got your doors open and shut just like that. So looking through the kit parts, let's have a look to see if and what we can do with this one. Now basically things like I would obviously upgrade if you were going to do it like this, and something else is to things like the thrusters on the back here. These little bell housings for the thrusters, as you can see, there's no detail to them, very reminiscent to the real kit. So what I would probably end up doing is super detailing one, make it very nice, add some more details to it and all the rest of it as is needed, and then perhaps cast multiples of and go through them like that. Okay, and again, perhaps you might do the same type of thing with these. Obviously these are for the legs coming out the side, these pods. Again, very basic details, so perhaps improving the details, either do them all if you've got multiples. Anything I say multiples more than 2, I tend to then cast off of it and do some casting to make them up to be a little bit better. But generally you can get an idea of the scale, the simplicity, very basic modelling. But actually I think these could be a very good launch point for doing the real thing. Now that is crew one. Let's do it some more details where you might be able to see it a little bit better. Alright, so what we've actually got here, as you can see, quite crude front windscreens and all the rest of it like that. Obviously there's not anything really going on the inside, but that is something obviously you could do detail up. But again, the moulding on these guys is particularly, well, not exactly brilliant. We just drop this top cam down a bit. You can see, you know, it's very softly, very thick, very industrial plastic, more like sort of the Playmobil type plastic. But again, I think if this was sharpened up, a few more little details added and things like that, it could go a long way to making something. It does look like it's like an upscale of this version. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if it's not. You know, it does look like it's been taken from a die cast and then upscaled slightly. Okay, but generally, I think it's a good starting point. I can't see a problem with these. Again, like this bar work down here, it could be something to perhaps redo, sharper, crisper, give it more raised details. This is the bottom off of the Lander, I do believe, down here. We've got a little thing down there, 2004 from China, so it is relatively new, or definitely a new production of. And we've got the fuel cells, and then obviously the doors and the ends just like that. This is the bit I wanted to look at, to be honest, because if you're going to upgrade one thing, it would be this, but actually it doesn't look too bad. Got a little bit of flash in here, but actually this, which is obviously the spine on this guy, as you can see, isn't too bad at all. Okay, I think perhaps with a little bit of work on there, just to tidy it up and make it perhaps a little bit more, it would work really well. So we've got the pods down here, to give you an idea of the fit. Get it together. There we go. Again, very lacking in detail, refine, you know, finesse, things like that. But generally, I have to say, it does look like it's been taken from the die cast. The markings, the moulds, the way it all is completely very reminiscent. So either that is a very good die cast, 1974 that one is, versus something like this. It'd be interesting to see how it all comes off. Then down in here, we won't get these out, it's tiny bits. We've got some bolts, some screws, we've got the plates, these are the foot landing plates, things like that down there. More thrusters, more bottles and bell housings for the rocket engines, things like down there, just like that. Okay, and then what else have we got down in here? There we go, there's your transfer sheet. Again, you know, practical, and it's there. It's nice we've got some shading on these. This will give depth. This is for your windows on the inside. Obviously looking down here, you've actually got figures inside it. These are obviously taken from the film versus ours. So when we look at the differences, you can see how sharp and crisp all of this is on here. It's a lot sharper and crisper than what we've actually got on the model. So certainly when you see it here, then we look at ours, you can see they're definitely a lot different. But I think there's a lot of work that could be done on this just to improve it, make it all a lot better and do it. So this is one of those kits I'm going to come back to in the near future, and we can actually go around and sort of upgrade, update, improve on, you know, perhaps what we need to do. Your other option here is for the crew housing one. Lots in separate bags. Okay, again, very heavy casting. You might be able to see this guy here is literally really thick, but you can see this is the one for, I think the one that is carrying here with the rocket pod and the various systems on this one. So this one, I think it sort of comes in a little bit like this, but you can see even in a dry fit it doesn't go together. These holes need opening up, cleaning up and everything else before you would come in with these parts. But this is what I'm saying, sometimes you can take a kit you know, and use it as the bare bones and then go on and improve it. And as I say, it's something I'm going to be tackling in the near future. and we'd certainly like to get a look at it. Obviously MPC do a lot of the old automotive stuff, so there's a lot of their stuff down there with their cars and various things. What else have we got just down in here? We've got some more decals, obviously, for one of the pods, the usual bits and pieces, molding t-shirts. So there we go, something totally different, something we don't tend to deal a lot here. We have got some snap type kits coming up for review. These are the, show you down here, have a look for these in the very near future. But these are the, quite frankly, awful level 1 kids lights and sounds for the new Star Wars film that's actually coming out. But I think, again, they could be used as a starting point. Either get your kids involved in modelling, or strip them back, add detail, repaint, and you could end up with something quite nice. So there we go, that is definitely something a little bit different. Not a kit for everyone, I must admit, but definitely something that I think if you're into your sci-fi, you like your practical effects, props, things like that, then definitely maybe a kit for you. So that is the Space 1999 Eagle Transporter.